Yeah, I feel ready now.
Yeah, me too. It's better.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hello, Nicole.
Hey!
This is Nicole Holly, the head chef at spoonfulofparadise.com, and an amazing yoga teacher and yogi, and just amazing high vibe person that I'm just so excited to know and get to have conversations with. And you presented a really good question to Tracy and I just knew it was going to be a great conversation. So I was like, ooh, let's record this one and have it on the computer.
I was like, wait, stop.
Wait.
We'll talk about this and we'll record it. And I love that. I love that that's how you wanted to do it and share this with everybody out there.
Yeah. So what is your question?
Okay, so basically I've been getting, obviously, I'm the kind of person who's interested in how my thinking affects my health. Mm-hmm. And so in that vein, I've been getting more interested in what's called epigenetics and stuff, kind of listening to some stuff by Bruce Lipton, but also listening to the module that we've created, you guys have created through Spoonful of Paradise, which talks about that too. And the more I listen to it, the more some questions start to arise. And so one of my biggest questions recently was listening to some of that stuff and the realization of what some of it's being shared by Bruce Lipton is that medicine has this kind of placebo effect on us. So our belief in the medicine and our belief in the authoritative person who's giving it to us and what they tell us it will do for us affects the outcome of the effect it has on our body. So to me, that was like mind blowing and beautiful because I'm like, yes, all this Western medicine that we think we have to take and all, I feel like most of the population out there is medicated these days. They're on something, right? Especially like a pharmaceutical drug. And so it just reminded me like a lot of those things that people think they have to take isn't necessarily true, right? Mm-hmm. So it's our belief in the medicine that produces the effect. And a lot of those pharmaceutical drugs have so many horrible side effects. Mm-hmm. So why take that to get this placebo effect? But then my biggest thing that came through is that so there are certain supplements that are helping support me in things in my life. Like I have some issues with respiratory, with asthma and breathing. And I found that black cumin seed oil and things are helping me. But then this thought came in, was that just placebo effect for me? Did I just start reading that and
Does
I
it
believe
count
now
for
that
natural
works for me?
Too?
Yeah. Yeah, but it doesn't. So I'm like, okay, what is this placebo thing? I want to know more about that and more about, should I just stop all my supplements or what, tell me more. Tell me more about what you think about this.
Great questions. Hold on, it's going to dialogue. Warning, it is not running fast enough to record the video.
Oh, no.
I think it should be okay, though.
Okay.
I wonder if it's just hot. Hold on. My computer gets kind of hot sometimes. Let me put it on here.
Is your computer hot or is it just you?
Oh, whatever. Okay, so I'm just going to trust that this works.
Okay, I'm going to stretch.
That's a great inquiry. And I've had a chance to kind of just mull it over. And it's definitely something that we speak to a lot. And I love to give more clarity on it because it is one of those topics. Like, I love Bruce Lipton and I love what he shares. Bridging science and spirituality and consciousness and just the biology of belief is what he shares about. And that's something that's right up my alley because I really love to help people understand how all of us is interconnected. Our biology, our cells, our biochemistry, our beliefs, our emotions, the stories that we tell ourselves, the story of our life, our actions, our habits, all of that stuff is who we are. It's an interconnected, integrated, cohesive whole. It's not like these are all separate things, right? But what I find with what Bruce teaches is it makes a really big jump. Because to make that jump of like, oh, well, your beliefs are creating your health and your reality. And so, really your medicines are only working because you're believing it's working. Like, that's a really big jump to make. So it might be true.
For your subconscious, especially.
Absolutely, and it is, and it's true in the sense that I mean, in mainstream science, it's controlled for in medical studies, right? The placebo effect is controlled for. That's why you have to have double-blind, controlled studies, because otherwise, like, people's beliefs will just completely alter. So it's like, he's absolutely right. Like, the beliefs around the medicine are what make it work. But with that said, that's like such a big jump for people to make. Like, you can't, like, okay, so for instance, your question was, so can people just stop taking medicines and just believe that they're working? And it's like, well, yes, that's possible, but at the same time, on the level that most people's consciousness is working at, which is, like, let's say all of a sudden I listen to Bruce Lipton, and now I'm going to say, I don't need my medicines because I believe that I don't need them anymore. Right?
Yeah.
And so I'm going to just stop taking them because I just believe that I don't need them anymore. Well, that's like one aspect of our self-talking. But what about the whole aspect of ourself that is the actual one believing the stories or believing this reality? Actually, if you really get down to the bare, essentials of it, what we are is consciousness creating our reality, right? We're creating our physical body, like from the molecules and how they're organized, the energy channels in our bodies, our society and our interconnections and our relationships and our culture, and like all of these things are what our world is. So you can't just be like, oh, well, I'm going to just, dismantle and ignore the whole world that I'm creating with my underlying assumptions and beliefs as a human being. You know what I mean? Like, it's a little bit too far, too fast. So,
like for your subconscious to catch up with that. Right, because you have these deep beliefs that have, like, these deep pathways that have been there for so many years.
And they're not even just ours. They're cultural, right? Even just as like a white male in America, I have certain cultural assumptions and beliefs about how I'm separate from nature and how I need to dominate nature and I need to subdue nature and keep it at bay. And, and that's not how all cultures believe. But that's not the reality that all cultures have woven. Like, if you look at Native American cultures, that's not the reality they live in. And therefore, their relationship with nature and the way that their bodies work with nature is just different because of their beliefs. So it's a much bigger question than simply, can my logical mind say, oh, well, I don't need these supplements or these medicines or whatever it is that is believing that I need these things to be healthy and whole, to just all of a sudden switch that story doesn't necessarily let you really, truly believe and therefore, change the physiology. Does that make sense? So you, for instance...
because I've been playing with my emotions around asthma. I've been playing with my thought system around asthma for so long. And it's taken... I think it's a combination, honestly, of playing with those things and trying to change the underlying thought system, that I'm a person who has asthma, to change those beliefs. I think that's part of it. But I also think that it helps when I have something like black cumin seed oil that there's been so much research done on, and I start taking it. And so the difference between that, I could take my inhaler right whenever I have an asthma attack. But these Ventolin inhalers have so many intense side effects, like not only immune suppressing side effects, but also like psychological, like I was reading about it the other day, like there's some psychiatric side effects that really kind of concern me. And I'm like, okay, so I have a choice to believe in something like black cumin seed oil, and I do believe in it. I've gotten to a space where I believe in something natural to help me, and it doesn't have any side effects that are going to affect my entire emotional and psychiatric system, and suppress my immune system. So
and it sounds, or it feels to me more like, instead of just it being like, I read about it and I believe it, like you've actually like taken it into yourself in a way that you resonate with it. Like you feel something that feels really good to you. Like, I'm nurturing or nourishing myself in some way for this thing that I'm dealing with, which is my asthma. And I really just, not only in my mind, but just in my cellular physiology, I believe that this is helping me. And so it does. Like, it absolutely supports you. Just like, believing that getting a massage feels good to you, and it really feels good after you're really sore from a workout, that's going to benefit you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In that same way. And I really do think, because of what you're saying about pharmaceuticals and because of the side effects that they carry, because they're not really a part of our evolutionary relationships with nature, I feel like a really good step in that direction of healing ourselves more naturally and at root cause levels is to use the plant medicines and the nature medicines, the funguses, the plants, the nourishing animals, the nourishing fats, like all of the good things that are part of our biochemical relationship, part of this story that's been woven over millennia, over millions of years, this story of who we are. Like, those, in my opinion, are a really good step in that direction of healing. Like, I believe that you can heal anything at the level of your core consciousness, and I do love to teach that. But at the same time, we're here to be humans in a physical body in nature. And so I think honoring that part of ourselves and not trying to like somehow escape it, or like, oh, I'm just going to transcend my physical body and just go into, this kind of cosmic healing. It's like, we're here to like have a good time. And if you're having a good time using black cumin seed oil and other natural things that you're learning about, and you're like, wow, like I really feel nurtured by, nature, because it's giving me all of these different things for what I'm dealing with, then I say, yes, go for that, because that is such an amazingly powerful way to heal yourself.
And it makes me feel empowered, and it is more of a whole approach, to my health, instead of like this one thing that just takes away. Like, the inhaler is just something that momentarily works. The black cumin seed oil builds up cumulatively in my body to not like it helps my immune system. It's like kind of like when we think of like adaptogens or something, how I feel like nature's always working in that way in our bodies in some sense, where it's helping in so many different areas of our body and supporting the whole of our health, instead of just like, oh, we're just going to get rid of this symptom really quick. It's like listening to your body and what it really needs to be supportive, rather than like, okay, you're having asthma, you just take this inhaler and that's it,
Absolutely.
It's like getting to that root, which we always are doing with functional medicine.
Yeah. And I also want to honor what you said about how you're always working on like the emotional aspects, and not just like, let's not just skip over that. What that really means is you are also doing that work of getting to the core consciousness level of what's creating that. And a lot of people aren't really ready to hear that even things like chronic illness like asthma are on some level in your consciousness being created. Now that doesn't mean that you, Nicole, the person, knows how you're creating that, right? But on some level, there is a disconnect or some kind of story that's creating some kind of friction or resistance or blockage to the well-being that abounds. Because like what we are at our core level, our vibrational level, is well-being. We are the love of the universe, and it's all flowing to us and in us and through us, and it's just what we are. And so there is some level where, you're not allowing some part of that to flow in some metabolic pathway that is expressing as this, symptom of asthma. And so if you really honor that and you really take that deeply into yourself, you can actually you can start to use that feedback, because that's what the symptom is it's feedback from deep within the source code of who you are. It's feedback. And so you can take that and you can actually follow it in and listening to the emotions, because really emotions come before the physical manifestation of disease, because they're also your feedback. So listening to all of that and using all of that feedback you're getting from your emotions to how you're feeling on a daily basis, your energy levels, any kind of disease symptoms, like all of it, honoring it as your guidance and letting it go take you deep within. And that's, of course, sitting and meditating is an important part, because if you're not listening, then how are you ever going to follow that guidance, right? And so you follow it
There's
in.
stillness, yeah. How can you hear?
Exactly. You just open yourself up and you listen, and you're open and humble enough to receive whatever it is that you're going to be shown, because it can show you some pretty confronting things, as I know you have, witnessed in your own path, as I have in my own path. Sometimes it's a bit of a slap in the face of like, hey, like, you're creating that, like, stop it, like, why are you creating that story?
Yeah,
like,
I love those, those moments when you get that little slap in the face, like, and it's a stark thing to start realizing that all of the, it's like, it's really easy when it's all going really good to be like, yep, I created that. It's the harder moment to say, yep, I created that, when it's the disease or the, the quote unquote bad stuff or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, our default is to feel like a victim to it, right?
Yeah.
To feel like it was done to us.
Mm-hmm.
Something
that God's up there with this magnifying glass, like, playing with us, and that's how I used to feel when I used to go to church.
Definitely.
Yeah, like, he's up there playing with me and I'm just at his whim, and I don't feel that way anymore.
No, and that's not the reality of what is. What isness, or God, whatever you want to call it, is pure light and love and fun and enjoyment and, depth and clarity. I mean, that's what we are in our totality. And it's okay also to be here in our individuality, creating shit for ourselves, because that's why we're here. Yeah. So learning to, like, accept that fact that, like, oh yeah, while I'm here in this meanness, which is only a blip in time, we know this scientifically, it is a little blip in time, but while I'm here, I'm going to be here, and I'm going to be me, and I'm going to learn the lessons of meanness. And that means paying attention to how you feel and really honoring it and listening to it, and not trying to, like, avoid it, trying to really, like, honor it and digest it and listen to it and get the lessons so that we can just keep learning more and more about what we are, because in our individuality, we're here to just more and more witness this hugeness that we are, this amazingness that we are, this love that we are. We're here to come more and more into that and expand more and more into that, and then create a life that we want to be creating from that place, because we have that ability. And so that's what I guess I could leave with, that is really encouraging people that they do have a lot more power than they realize to be creating the physical health and the physical body that they want to be creating. And so not judging yourself if you've been creating one that's maybe overweight or sick or tired or whatever it is, but just realize from this moment on, like, I have the ability to change my direction towards what I want. Not towards what Skya wants, or what the doctors want, or what society wants.
Say I should look like, or
Absolutely.
whatever. But
none of that.
Towards
what I want, right? And we each have that power and that ability to choose what we want, and then keep just steering ourselves in the direction, and in each moment being new with ourselves, because, hey, it's going to change from moment to moment, because we're constantly learning and getting new downloads and upgrades and all of that. So
so what I'm hearing from everything is, like, so yes, basically we could create anything we wanted with our thought process, but it's a huge leap for these neural pathways in our subconscious ideas that have been running for so long, not only in this lifetime, but what we would consider previous lifetimes.
Yeah, being human.
Whatever has come in. What's that?
Yeah, just like being human, just that process of being human.
Whatever's come in our experience to teach us, about ourselves and our life runs so deep that to change those overnight would be really, really tricky. So using something like a holistic, natural supplement and approach to life, and eating well, taking care of this physical body, bridges that gap in the process, while we continue to change. On the other end, we continue to change the subconscious thoughts and the underlying patterns that we have about our ideas about our bodies and our health and our wellness and things like that. So it's like, support yourself while you continue to work on that side, but that's an unfolding pattern that can't happen very quickly. You have to process and take time with that.
Well, it can happen quickly, but it's not the normal, way that we are as humans. And so I think honoring that for most of us, it's a process and that it's okay to go through that process. There's no reason to jump ahead, I mean, if you want to just, totally let go and just abandon your whole reality and take on a new one, you can do that. Like, you can absolutely do that. I've done that. But you but you don't have to do that, and it's not really necessary as part of the process because it can be traumatic as well. But I think what I would also say is the if the natural supplements and the all of these things, the eating healthy and
make you feel good,
giving yourself all the things that like for me it's movement and exercise. If that makes you feel good, because again, it's your choice, and it's really about how are you loving and nurturing yourself? Because, okay, remember I said that what we are is love, like in our totality. So when we're loving ourselves, then we're in alignment with that bigger part of ourselves. We're like allowing the bigger part of ourselves to be predominant because what we are is love. And so anything that we can do to be loving and nurturing ourselves is right on, right?
Yeah.
And for some people, that might be going to the doctor and taking, Xanax or Percocet. So there's no judgment there. There's no rights or wrong here. But like you said, those things have a tendency to cause side effects because of the way they work in a biological way. That's not really in alignment with nature and us as nature. And so I'm an advocate of these more natural approaches, just from the perspective of, wow, like when you start doing that, it's like it frees something up in you to really start discovering self-love. It wasn't until I started really changing my diet. I actually became a raw food vegan. Not saying you need to do that, but like I said, I needed to go from being a Texas,
it was your process, your step.
It was my process. I needed that major jump. And so what that did was it really cleaned things out in me in a way that made me start to feel that energy that I am. It made me start to feel what it is to be, truly alive. And so for me, that catalyzed all of these deeper areas where the work has gone, because it just naturally does. When you get out of the way, it just does. It's not like you have to make it happen. So I think too, I would just encourage people to just relax around the process and let it happen instead of trying to make it happen. Because every time I'm trying to make it happen, then boom, it stops.
Over here too, guilty.
Yeah, well, not guilty, but that's just, that's what we're learning.
That's one of the things that I have to watch.
Absolutely. And I do want to share, there are ways to really dive deep into the consciousness healing aspect that we've been talking about, especially the stuff Bruce Lipton talks about, and, really just diving into that level of healing and doing that work of okay, I'm obviously getting signals from my body and my emotions that I have some stories in my reality that I've woven in that aren't serving me and that are kind of keeping me, out of that alignment that I'm desiring. So how can I work on those levels,
Yeah.
And that's something that I want to speak more to. And there are many ways of going about that from
and you guys actually talk about that a little in your module.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, throughout the whole, that's really what our Closing Your Nurture Gaps is all about, is really going through and honoring all of these different aspects of who we are and how each one of them is an opportunity for this self-nurture, the self-love, right?
Yeah.
And when, you start to learn about these different aspects of yourself, you can start to compassionately, give yourself more of what you're asking for. And then part of that is obviously really uncovering those stories that we're talking about, where you're maybe weaving a reality that's, not
what you want.
Yeah. And so we do guide people in that process. And so if people are interested in that, definitely check out our online course. It's at spoonfulofparadise.com, work with us, and then online courses, and you can learn more about it. And then of course, if anyone wants to talk to either Tracy or I about that and whether it's a good fit, we're happy to do a free 20-minute call to just sort of see, how we could best serve you. So.
Well, of course, I'm a little biased, but I highly recommend it.
Oh, well, thank you. And I look forward to your feedback as you take it, as you go through more of it.
I'm enjoying. That's where you started too. So changing the mindset, starting there, and then going into the nutrition approach is really cool.
And then definitely, participating in the group coaching calls because, this is what that is. It's basically when people have these kinds of inquiries and they're like, okay, like I feel stuck in this way, or oh, I had this breakthrough, or whatever. We get to actually like share about it. So
what I love about that too is as people are taking the course, they have so much support from all the other people around them. Mm-hmm. And then remembering too that this like Spoonful of Paradise is an entire kind of support system with our personal chef services and everything that we offer. So if you start getting into the modules and you're feeling overwhelmed with trying to change your diet and things like that, you have support system from me, from Tracy, from you to come in and help you in different ways, like with the cooking, with whatever you're trying to take on, and bringing that into making that your lifestyle rather than like, oh, I'm just going to go on a diet or something. Stepping into a new lifestyle for yourself.
Absolutely. And I just want to, really give props to what you're doing, with the cooking, because it's something that I've been privileged to give to myself. And then of course I have a partner, Michael, who also loves to cook that way. And it is like above and beyond the most important self-nurture that I give myself on a daily basis. I mean, it's 3 times and sometimes 4 times a day that I'm feeding myself from my hands in the land in my kitchen, and that's huge. Yeah. And that's huge.
I never about it that way.
Yeah. And so the fact that you offer that as a service, like, because there's a lot of people that they've set up their lives where they don't have time for that. And the fact
that's a way to nurture yourself, right?
Right.
Like hire a personal chef or somebody.
Exactly.
To help
like if you can't do that, you can absolutely hire someone and still nurture yourself by giving that energy exchange of money to hire someone to actually give it to you, and then receiving that nurturing in the form of food is just, to me, it's a way that catalyzes all of the rest of the work, because when you have that as the foundation, it's like your consciousness is now supported to where it can start to just heal itself, and it can start to heal your body.
That's what I've been trying to, I was home recently and sharing with people about how when I began to, so one thing I want to share, I was sharing with somebody yesterday about, because they were feeling overwhelmed by taking on some new ideas and some new tasks to help nurture themselves. And I said, I remember being right there. I remember thinking, I want to start like cooking for myself, and I don't have enough time to do that. And where's that time going to come from? And the interesting thing about that is once I started to open my mind and take it a little bite at a time, like, okay, I'm just going to cook one little thing today, or I'm just going to do this one thing. I'm just going to tweak this one thing and change it. The energy in my body started to go up too, so that I had more energy to give to nurturing myself, actually. So it was like I had to push a little bit in the beginning to get past that barrier or that wall. But once I did, it was like the energy started to explode to do more and more and more. And now it feels like I can't even imagine a time where I wouldn't cook for myself. I mean, that maybe, but it's like, I can't, now it's just comes so natural. It's my day, it's my routine, it's in my life, so just reminding people that it will get easier and easier as you go.
Absolutely, and that breaking through those walls is the work, and that's where the healing happens, because it's when you face those self-created stories, right, that are blocking the well-being that you are, which is self-love and self-nurture. That's the work. And so at whatever level, whether it's the food or whether it's your relationships or whether it's your self-talk or your breath or your movement patterns, your exercise, like whatever it is, like that's the work. And so just by knowing that, being more excited about where you're seeing that you need nurture. So basically being excited where you're seeing what we call your nurture gaps, because those are just opportunities, for growth, and growth feels really good. Getting unstuck feels really good. So there's nothing wrong with you for being stuck or being, having these blockages, like just listening to them and listening to how you feel and just really honoring that. Like you should feel good, and that's up to you to allow that to happen and give yourself whatever yourself and all these different levels is asking for to feel its best, to feel your best. So.
Well, I know we've got to start wrapping this up.
Yes.
I wanted to see if you want to maybe end with just like some breathing and a little meditation.
I would love that, yeah.
I would be happy if you would lead it for us if you feel comfortable.
Great, yeah. So finding any kind of seat. Right now I'm sitting on my heels, and I actually have a little cushion under my heels so that I can sit up a little taller. If you want to sit in an easy pose,
I'm going to grab my little cushion.
I really find it's helpful to put my hips up on something so that I can really get my buttocks flesh pulled backwards so I can just really sit on my sits bones, stack my spine, sit up nice and tall. And then just closing your eyes and just maybe feeling your body, feeling your spine, finding where you could place your spine so that there's ease and you're not gripping in any of your muscles. So a nice, easy stacking. Shoulders are rolling back, chest is lifted. Maybe just drawing that chin back a little bit. And then inhaling. And maybe on the exhale, letting out a ha. And then inhaling deep into your belly. And again, just ha. Just feeling any tension just leaving with that sound. Take an even deeper breath this time. Inhaling. And now just really focusing on lengthening your breath as you inhale down into your belly. And then as you exhale, letting that belly draw in. And just with each breath, see if you can just make each breath a little longer and slower. And just with each breath, relaxing more and more into it. In this moment, realizing really deeply that this nourishing, relaxing breath that takes you back into this moment, into your center, into this place where everything is available to you. This is always right here. It's always available. And you can give it to yourself in any moment. Doesn't it feel good to know that? Opening your eyes. Ready to meet the rest of our day.
Thank you so much, Skya. What a beautiful conversation. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for sparking it.
Namaste, love.
Namaste. I love you.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye. Have a beautiful day in paradise. Woo woo.